AM to YouTube. Totally not the second time I'm recording this because I accidentally had it muted. Totally not. So we have big thing from Jagex. This is in their UI interface uplift round 2. They had some nice little changes to the UI, some nice little features. There is some cool stuff in the update. It's all pretty minor, nothing too crazy. What I'm interested in today is this line at the end, which they snuck in, which is about Sunfire Splinters at Doom. Let's get right into it. We need to talk about splinters and not the kind you get from playing with wood. Since Doom's release, we've noticed that the value of Sunfire Splinters has decreased significantly from around 500 GP each to roughly 140 GP each. I'm gonna stop you right there. 23rd of July, 2025. And if I pull up Sunfire Splinters and we look at July, oh, look at that. It's right there, right there. 235 to 242. Not quite. This is not quite Mokha release, not quite. I don't agree with that one. That's not true. Although the splinters gained per player at Doom are fairly modest, around 400 an hour, the sheer number of players engaging with Doom for its uniques has led to millions entering the game passively. This has had a significant impact on their value and on other pieces of content such as the Colosseum. And if you haven't seen, very true, Colosseum is terrible money. It's 6 mil per hour now, something like that, because splinters have dropped to such a low value. As such, we're removing Sunfire Splinters from Doom's loot table with today's game update. We understand that this decision may disappoint some of you, but please know it has been made with the long-term health of the game in mind. Doom should be about chasing its uniques, while the Colosseum should remain a rewarding and valuable endgame activity. Okay, so we looked at it. They've been dropping long before Doom's release. Okay, why? Because of Wave 1 farm bots. Colosseum Wave 1 drops a guaranteed 80 Sunfire Splinters. It takes about 15 seconds to kill it all. If you go in with a bulwark, something like that, you just kill everything in the wave, take your splinters, leave. It's been a very good money-making method for a long time with basically no requirements, and bots love it. There are bots doing it right now, even though splinters are incredibly low. So the main reason for Sunfire Splinters dropping in value is Wave 1 farm botting. Maybe we could just patch that out. That seems really obvious. Now, maybe Mokha is not helping, and they have the numbers to show it. Maybe Mokha is pushing this number further down. This looks pretty steady to me. Like, it doesn't look like Mokha's dropping it much faster than it was dropping as it was, but I don't know. I don't have the data. I'm not Jagex, so maybe it's a legitimate concern. It's mind-boggling to me that they would make a change like this, like ripping out from this drop table. The wiki's already removed it. Shout out the wiki. They're quick on this stuff. The splinters was like a 1 in 102 drop. It was a very rare drop for 500 to 1500. Very rare drop. You do not get that many through the grind because it's such a rare drop. That also assumes that you're claiming all the time and not tabbing, which is a different thing with Mokha. That's a thing that you probably do a lot. We have honed in on this very specific issue, which has a very obvious solution that people have been talking about for a very long time. When the drop table that you're making worse has so many problems with it, and we'll look at that. What are the issues with it? I have done 1 through 6s, 1 through 7s, and I've gotten plenty of loot. So what are you talking about, Gnomonkey? What's the issue with the drop table? For a cave 1, this is how it works. You have a quantity multiplier every single cave, and that increases per cave. So it starts off at half. You just straight up get half loot. For cave 2, you're getting about 1/3 chunked off. At 3, you have the base chance for loot, which is what the wiki shows. Everything on the wiki is a 3. After that, you start increasing it slightly. Very slightly. Very slightly increases. Up to 0.2. So a 9 clear gives you 1.2 times the loot of a 3. Or it would if it didn't round down. So let's look at that. What does that mean, Gnomonkey? What are you talking about? Let's take 1.2 of 1 DMed. 1.2 times 1. 1.2. Can the game give you 1.2 DMeds? No. What does the game give you instead? 1 DMed. Okay. Mystic Staff. It'll give you 1. Rune Pickaxes. Let's say you roll 3. Okay, maybe that gets increased. It gives you 3. You get 1 to 3 Rune Pickaxe. 2 to 4 D Plate Legs. 4, maybe if you roll 4. 4.8. That rounds down. The game always rounds down, so that will be 4. The most plate legs you can get is 4. This loot is the exact same on Cave 3 as Cave 9. That carries on to any drop that's under 5 quantity. Anything that rolls under 5, all of these seeds, all of them, rolls 3 to 4 of the runite ore. Don't get increased. Not at all. So many drops that the tooth half of a key does not get increased. Over half of the rolls. And these are the good rolls. These are the ones you want. You want to get D plate legs. Look, it's 600k. That's the best roll, is the D plate legs. All of the best rolls, besides maybe the Dragon Dart tips, that one's really good, and that actually does get increased, so shout out. All of the drops you would want, the seeds, the dragon stuff, the plate legs, the alks, they don't get increased. So the only good drops that do get increased are cannonballs, onyx bolts, rune ore if you roll 5 to 6, and it's not even that good. The dragon dart tips and the aether catalyst. Those are all good. And that's it. That's all that gets increased. Everything else is exactly the same on a 3 as it is on 9. This system is dumb. The system is stupid as hell. This system is ripped from Toa, which drops a large quantity of items and with a wide variety of raid levels, where it's like, instead of 5 dragon stones on a 0, on a 500, you get like 50 dragon stones, right? It scales very linearly. It makes a lot of sense. This doesn't make a lot of sense. It's very, very dumb. It's extremely top heavy on the early caves. It's very rewarding for doing barely anything. So because these caves are so fast as well, you actually are going to get more common loot than you would grinding 9+, because it doesn't increase. It does not increase, which is so counterintuitive because it is a little bit higher, but the tremendous amount of extra time spent on cave 9 versus a cave 3 is more loot per hour. Really, really dumb. And even cave 1, it has the opposite, where if you do 1 times 0.5, you're gonna get 0.5, right? The game can't give you half a DMed, it's gonna give you 1 DMed. So on cave 1 and 2, it rounds up if it would go down to 0. Early on, it's rounding up. Later, it's rounding down, and the quantities don't increase whatsoever. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. The loot should not get arguably worse the harder the content gets. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And yes, the rare drops do get a lot more common. It is really good to do deep delves, but the common loot is so dumb. It doesn't make any sense at all, where you heavily reward players for doing barely anything who should not be getting rewarded massive amounts of loot. So hey, if we have a problem with Sunfire Splinters dropping into the game too much, maybe fixing that loot table would have helped. Maybe you didn't need to remove it. Because on Cave 1, even with the half multiplier, you're getting up to 800 Sunfire Splinters. There's a lot of people doing Cave 1. That's a lot of clears. It would be less bad if they made it scale properly. The way they should fix this is, it's fine to have a negative multiplier in the early caves, sure. Have 0 be much, much lower than it is currently. 3 is a lot of loot. It's almost a Vorkath. It's not equal difficulty to a Vorkath. It's much easier. 3 needs to drop a lot less loot. And it's okay for it to be like not comparable to good bosses at all. Like 3 should not be super good. 3 should be very bad, and it should scale up a lot faster. Like much, much faster. These numbers should be bigger. Much, much, much bigger. I'm feeling like double, 2.5 times the loot on 9 of a 3, something like that. It probably should be, because a 9 is so much ridiculously harder than a 3. It's insanely harder, and it takes way longer. So putting a 0.2 multiplier is just like a joke. It's nothing. It's less than nothing because it rounds down to nothing. It literally is nothing. It's negative loot per hour to complete these when you're talking about common loot. And that's assuming you claim. If you keep going until you die, you'll never see any of it. So it feels even worse. So since Jagex has shown concern about the price of items ruining a moneymaker, I want to raise the concern of devaluing rare items by dropping these extremely early as well. We have an insane upgrade to Tormented Bracelets, the Gauntlets, on Cave 2. We have the Eye of Ayak, which is just a little worse than a Shadow, on Cave 3. And we have the Treads, which are the best gear upgrade that's ever been added to the game DPS-wise. And switch-wise from Cave 4. If I go check, we want to do the same when things came out shenanigans. Let's go check out a Shadow, okay? Let's go check out a Shadow, because I feel like it might have been devalued by something. Gee, I wonder where it was. Oh, this giant drop right here. Interesting. So it dropped from 960 mil after a week down 930, and it just kind of kept going down. It just kind of kept going down. Yeah, that didn't help. It didn't help at all. Gee, I wonder if the eye could have had something to do with that. The eye doesn't even need mage gear to work. It doesn't need the full ancestral. You just buy an eye and you're rolling. You're rolling. You have a solid mage option. Like it's so good. The fact it drops on Cave 2 is such a, or Cave 3, it's such a spit in the face. It doesn't make any sense. Same thing with the gauntlets. You've seen my pillarless Inferno with the gauntlets. The gauntlets are not equal to a Cave 2. They should not be dropping these early. It doesn't make sense. Just really quick to show, because I know a lot of people are going to go, you just want everything dropped to you. You just want everything to be hard. Look at how many clears there are globally of the early caves. There are 16 million ones, and 2 is not that far off, 15.3 million. Look how quickly it drops off after that. 1.5 million to 2 million per cave increase after that. There is 1.5 million less 3s than 2. There is 2 million less 4s than 3s, so on and so forth. Like, you can see the jump is pretty consistently 2 or 3 million completions. You can see the difficulty right here. You don't even have to like ask around like how difficult stuff is. You can see it right in the numbers here, in the completions, how difficult the content is. It ramps up rapidly. On day 1, there were so many people like talking to my chat like, oh, I just got the boots on 4. Like, people going in and doing like 1 through 6, 1 through 7, and coming out with drops, like a lot of drops, sometimes 2 drops, sometimes 3 drops. I had people day 1 posting they got 3 drops without going to 8, you know, stuff like that. I'm not saying the drops need to start at 8. They should start a lot higher than this. I'm thinking 5 or 6, because that's when the boss has full mechanics. The boss has car phase on 5. You could even argue it's not the full boss until 6, because on 6, the car phase starts doing triple dash. You have to hide behind rocks. You are not seeing every mechanic until 6. So I could see the argument for either of these. Either of those would make me feel a lot better. And these do not need to be split apart. They're all equally good. You could start dropping all of the drops on a specific wave. They don't need to be staggered like this. Start on 5 or start on 6 would be so much better for the game. If we're so concerned about the health of moneymakers, endgame moneymakers at endgame bosses, is this an endgame boss? Or is it a boss where everyone can come to enjoy? Anyone can get the boots. You don't have to go that. You don't have to experience the boss's mechanics. It might take you a while, but 1 through 4, god damn it, you can get those boots. You just gotta keep sending and you'll get it. I'm really sick of this trend of dropping stuff before you've completed the content. If you want to get a scythe, you can't leave at bloat. You don't get a chance at the scythe when you leave at bloat. If you want to get a shadow, you still gotta kill Warden. You can talk all day about how easy Toa is, but you've gotta clear it. You do not have to clear Mokha to get the drops. You don't get high scores until 8, remember. You don't get to go on the high scores until 8. You can get all the drops going half of the caves to the high scores. That's all you have to do. This problem extends back before Mokha. Mokha's not the only problem here. This is a Torva plate body. Can you guess when Yama released? Gee, I wonder if it's right there. Let's go look it up. 14th of May. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, right there. Interesting. We keep adding these accessible bosses, pretty good drop rates that completely devalue other items. Torva plate body, much rarer per kill than Yama is. It requires you kill a much harder boss than Yama is, and it's objectively worse than Oathplate. I'm sorry, but Oathplate is just always better. The only time you'd use Torva is with a Fang, and even then there's still arguments for Oathplate because it boosts your BGS. Well, even in the place where your main weapon is not slash, just to really hammer the point home, this is a Basilisk Jaw. Makes a face guard. Guess where Yama is. I don't even have to show it. If we are going to start pretending now that we care about endgame moneymakers, let's commit to it. I'm on board. I agree. I care about endgame moneymakers too. I think endgame bosses should be good money. There's no reason endgame bosses should make less money than Hydra. There's no reason for that. Hard bosses should be rewarding. I would completely agree with that. I think most people would agree with that. You should agree with that. If so, let's start right now. Let's start right now. Let's start fixing these. Move the drops up. Move the drops up. Let's fix this terrible common loot that makes no sense. We can rework the drop table and make it work better. You don't even have to change the loot rolls. I don't care if you drop me fire runes and earth runes sometimes. Just give me a proper quantity of drops on a 9 and I'll be happy. I don't really care if you have some trash drops. They said in the post too, like, we don't want it to be rewarding. It said Doom should be about chasing its uniques, while the Colosseum should remain a rewarding and valuable endgame activity. They don't want it to be super good common loot. Then stop rewarding people in Cave 3 with common loot. You're failing at your own objective, which is supposed to be chasing uniques. Is chasing uniques even, how can you say chasing uniques when you get them on 2? What chase is there? There is no chase. Can we please, at the very least, for the love of God, make it so when I get 100 of these goddamn bones, my loot doesn't say 800k? Please. I beg. Bones are not worth 8k each. They're not. Stop pulling a psyop. It's not worth that. You can't pretend the loot is good by making up fake numbers. Please just make it worth nothing. I can already see the comments. A lot of people are already mad at me. I get it. You're like, you want all the loot for yourself. Listen, I love the progression of RuneScape. It's beautiful. You have early game bosses, you have mid-game bosses, you have end-game bosses. You have to work your way up through them to get gear, to get loot, and work your way up to the harder bosses, get your stats up, get your skills up, your internal skills up that you don't have yet because you haven't experienced enough to go kill them. The progression of being able to work your way up to the absolute hardest bosses and grind them efficiently is so satisfying. And if we throw all of that in the trash to make it feel really nice for mid-level players on endgame bosses, you're going to ruin the progression of the game. All mega rares are going to be under a bill. You're just going to slowly knock everything out. Nothing will have value. There will be no endgame moneymakers, and everything will be Hydra. That'll be the best it can be. I don't want to live in that world. I want a world where pushing, getting better at content, getting better gear is shown in what you're capable of earning, like loot-wise. Like, making more bosses like Fasani that are like 3 mil an hour is it's so sad. It's so sad to see. Bosses that are super difficult should be super rewarding. That's what it should be. They don't have to be consistently the best, but they should be better, like typically, than other options. The biggest issue bringing these bosses down, besides all of these decisions, things that devalue stuff, is the bots. It's the bots that are bringing in majority of these items. I could talk all day about like how these drop too early, yada yada, but the bots are going to 8. It doesn't matter if you put it at 6, the bots are still going to keep bringing items in. The botting problem is at the root of all of this. So twofold on the bots. First is, I would love to see Jagex devote a lot more work towards the bots. Maybe a statement would be great, like a news post about what they're doing about bots, or like at least vaguely telling us that they're like cracking down harder would be great. They have actually been doing like extra ban waves. I think they have been doing that. I believe they hired a new anti-cheat specialist, something like that. I would love to hear some about that, and I'd love to see more resources thrown at crushing bots. Other thing I'd like to see is when they design content, being a little proactive, like thinking about this. When you add a boss like Yama, and you make him 1.2 times Demon Bane weakness, you can already picture what the bots are gonna do. Before the content comes out, it should be obvious. They grab a Staff of the Dead and they cast Demon Bane. That's what they do. It costs 5 mil. They'll buy air rims, so they'll have like a 10 mil setup. They'll go straight to Yama with their Staff of the Dead, and then they will bot hundreds of mil mage XP. I've seen bots with 150 mil mage XP that have done it all with the Staff of the Dead at Yama. If the intended like way that we kill the boss is going to be heavily abused, maybe it should be tweaked before release. Same thing with Mokha. Mokha to a lesser extent. Void is incredibly good because the boss, you have 100% accuracy against him most of the time. Void is easy to get. It's free. It's not super easy, but a bot can knock out chompies. A bot can knock out pest control. Pretty easy to do. Void and a Scobo within 15% of T-Bow. It's at least a lot better than Yama, where T-Bow is Biss, and it's not like, oh, Biss is an Emberlight. But maybe some tweaks need to be made, so like Void isn't complete Biss. Like probably Masori should be better. Realistically, like the best option should not be Void. Basically, I just want them to throw more resources at the bots and be a little more proactive. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. We need at least a decent sized gap between, you know, the cheap option and the Biss option of like mega rares and stuff. Emberlight being complete Biss on Yama, or Demon Bane in general being really good, allowing super cheap options that are close enough. That's what allows bots to thrive. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work super well. Like we need to encourage a better gap of the gear. Allowing stuff like Void to be Biss at a boss like this is a problem, I would say. It's not good. And that's it for the video. I'm really hoping that they walk this back, because I'm not buying the bullshit of Mokha being the cause of Sunfire Splinters dropping in price. I'm hoping this is an opportunity for them to actually fix the drop table and make it make sense and just improve things all around. I'm really sick of pretending we're being all noble and we care about stuff when there's so many bigger issues than this. Leave a like if you liked it, and or subscribe, and leave a comment telling me about how much you disagree with me. I'll see you later. Bye. Bye. Mwah!